What if your greatest fears are not your enemies, but your teachers? Most people run from fear, but the Stoics, they walk straight into it. If fear is holding you back today, what if I told you it can also be the key to your freedom? Welcome to Stoic Blend, where ancient wisdom meets modern life. Today, we'll explore how to embrace fear, the Stoic way, and how you can turn doubt into strength. Part 1. Understanding fear. Fear is one of the oldest emotions in human history. It was designed to protect us from predators, hunger, and danger. Yet today, our fears often come from things that are not life-threatening. Losing a job, disappointing others, or failing in public. Seneca once wrote, "We suffer more often in imagination than in reality." How often have you laid awake at night worrying about things that never even happened? Think of a parent in the US today working long hours, afraid of being laid off. The constant anxiety drains them, not the actual event. Fear becomes heavier than reality itself. Embracing fear begins with recognizing it for what it is, a story in the mind. Once you see fear clearly, it loses its grip. Part 2. Breaking fear into pieces. The Stoics taught us to separate what we can control from what we cannot. Epictetus reminded us, some things are up to us, and some are not. Let's take a modern example. Imagine you're about to give a presentation at work. You fear forgetting your lines, or your colleague's judgment. Which part is under your control? Your preparation, your clarity, your practice. Which part is not? The opinions of others. When you divide fear this way, it shrinks. It no longer feels like an overwhelming storm. It becomes a puzzle you can manage, one piece at a time. Part 3. Visualizing the worst case. Another Stoic exercise is premeditatio malorum, the premeditation of evils. Instead of avoiding fear, the Stoics invited it in. Marcus Aurelius would wake each morning expecting people to be difficult, selfish, or ungrateful. By imagining the worst, he stripped fear of its surprise. Think of an entrepreneur in America today. She wants to start her own business but fears failure. What if she imagines the worst, losing her savings, returning to a regular job, explaining it to friends? Painful, yes, but survivable. By rehearsing the worst in her mind, she realizes failure won't destroy her, and this realization gives her freedom to try. Embracing fear is not about denial. It's about looking fear in the eye and saying, even if this happens, I will endure. Part 4. Acting despite fear. Here's the paradox. Courage is not the absence of fear. It is action in the presence of fear. Epictetus put it simply, it's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. Picture a firefighter rushing into a burning building. Do you think they feel no fear? Of course not. They feel fear and move anyway. That is courage. On a smaller scale, imagine someone terrified of public speaking. Their hands shake, their heart races, but they still step onto the stage. That moment when fear is loudest and action still happens, that's the essence of Stoic strength. The Stoics remind us that fear doesn't disappear, but it can become fuel. Part 5. Transforming fear into power. Every surge of fear comes with energy, adrenaline, focus, alertness. Instead of resisting it, Stoics learn to channel it. Think of a college student in the US, facing final exams. The fear of failure sharpens her concentration. She studies harder, manages her time better, and in the end performs beyond her own expectations. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "What stands in the way becomes the way." Fear, when embraced, becomes the very force that strengthens us. So how do we practice this in daily life? Start small. Each day, do one thing that makes you uncomfortable. Speak up in a meeting. Try a new skill. Have that difficult conversation. Like lifting weights, the muscle of courage grows stronger with repetition. Embracing fear is not a one-time act. It's a lifelong discipline. Part 6. Bringing it all together. Let's recap the Stoic path to conquering doubt. First, recognize fear for what it is. Often, just imagination. Second, break it down into what's under your control and what is not. Third, visualize the worst-case scenario to weaken its hold. Fourth, act despite fear, for courage exists only when fear does too. And finally, transform fear into power by using it as fuel for growth. Closing reflection. Fear is part of being human, but it doesn't have to be your master. The Stoics teach us that by embracing fear, we can transform it from an obstacle into an ally. If you found wisdom in today's reflection, I invite you to like this video, share it with someone who may need it, and subscribe to Stoic Blend your space to grow with ancient wisdom in modern life. Now, I'll leave you with a question. What fear are you ready to embrace today? And how will you face it the Stoic way?